In this video, we will be looking at how to add new clients and patients. The first way is a quick add from the calendar. So here, if we click to create a new appointment, we can create a new client simply by clicking on this button here. So let's say we're just on the phone and we have a new client and we just need to quickly get them onto the calendar. We can start here. Now this is quick create, so this doesn't have all of the same fields as we'll see later, but you can certainly start here if you're just in a hurry to get them started. We're going to always want to make sure we get an email address if at all possible. And you'll see here that not all of this information is required, so if you're really in a hurry, you can just get the basics and come back to it later. Make sure that we're marking what type of phone it is, because this will make a difference when we're trying to send text messages. We don't want it to go to a home phone if it won't accept it. Okay, so now we have a new client, but we still don't have a new patient. So then we can also go to new patient to do a quick add there. Okay, some interesting animal choices there. Okay, so now we have a new client and a new patient, and we can proceed with setting up the actual appointment here. So I'm going to just finish this to make sure that's a little grim. Make sure that it saves our appointment, or saves our client rather. Let's see, find all the necessary things. There we go. Okay. So now we have saved that client. So before we get to the next way to make one, I'm going to look up this client. And from here, when we go into the client page, we can go up to the edit button and we can go back and fill out the rest of the information that we skipped by doing the quick form. Okay, so now we're going to go back to the other way of doing this, which is when we go to the client and patient page, and we can click the Add New Client button up here. This will give us the full form for adding the client information. And I'm not going to type these right now, but obviously we add the name, again, that email, very important. And we're going to do a lot more email communications now. Just leave all of these boxes checked unless there's some reason why the client doesn't want to be notified. Essentially, this lets us do two-way text messaging. The mass communication is in case we need to send out an alert that like our clinic is closed due to a snowstorm, anything like that. And then also receiving notifications based on their appointments. Then we add phone number. Again, make sure we're getting the correct phone type there. We can add multiple phone numbers, and this will allow us to say which one is the primary phone number. So another important thing to mark the primary phone number. Then we have our address. In the alert box, we're going to put any kind of short phrases that will show up as a pop-up next to the client's name. Let's see, not on this page, but I'll show that in a minute. And so this would be like, don't accept checks, anything that's client specific that we would want to know as a quick alert. But if you have more to say about that, that's going to go down in the additional information box. The reason why we don't accept checks. Other things put in the alert could be like pronunciation of the owner's name, something like that. Optional, but we can put a referral source. So if the client is telling us that they found us on Facebook or referred by another clinic, we'll have options there. And then also if there are any discounts, we can select those here. Now, another feature is we can add a co-owner. And so the co-owner will be on the account with the same permissions as the owner. However, the primary owner will be the one receiving text and email communications unless otherwise selected. And then the other thing that we can add there at the bottom of the new client form is an authorized agent. So that's going to be different than a co-owner for a few different reasons. So authorized agent, you can put a note as far as what they're approved by the owner to do. You can put a date range in here if it's just while they're out of town, or if it's maybe a younger child. It can say that they're allowed to bring the animal in, but maybe they're not allowed to make any medical decisions without calling the owner or something like that. And then so we can have the role as well as what their approval is. Okay, so as far as seeing what those what the pop-ups will look like. So for instance here we have pop-ups for the animal, but then we can also have pop-ups for the owner. And so that's why we want those to be quick little blurbs here next to the owner's name. The other thing when it comes to the clients and patients, so how we find them. So when we click on the client and patient page, you can see here where it says search by name, microchip, any contact information. So we can do a phone number. So that pulls up a phone number right there. When you type in a name, it does both patient and client. So for instance, Jake would be a patient. Under my name, looks like we don't have any clients with that name. But it will pull up both the client as well as all the client's patients in the search. When you go into the client page, this will be all the information that we added. And again, we can go up to the edit button to change any of it. We have a co-owner here. Then as we scroll down, we'll see all these tabs. So we can see on the financial tabs, the outstanding balance of the patient or any credit that they have. From this window, we can take a quick payment. We can also do a quick invoice. So this is if they're just getting over-the-counter products and we don't need to start a medical visit. You can do a quick invoice and you can print any statements that they have. With Shepherd, we'll be able to save payment methods. So they can save a credit card on file and that would show up here. And then we can look through all of their invoices as well as all of their payments. And then we can also search and sort through the actual line items that they've purchased. And then we can add notes specific to that client here as well, and any files. So if they have like vaccine records from another clinic, those would be uploaded here. On the next tab, we have tasks. So any tasks that are created that involve this client will show up on here. So for instance, this example is that we created a task that we wanted to call another clinic to get proof of rabies at some point. So you can create a task with this button, create whatever custom task you'd like, assign it to certain people in the clinic to see. And when it's done, you can change the status to being completed. We can also see any past or upcoming appointments as well as the status. If they missed the appointment, no-showed, anything like that, that would show here. For reminders, this would just be the vaccine, heartworm test reminders. We can print them from this page here. And then any forms that the client has completed that went back into Shepherd. We can also send them new forms from this page. So let's say they're calling for a dental appointment. We want to send them a form ahead of time. We can send that from here. And it will already be tied to the client. On the right-hand side, we have various things such as adding a note. So again, any sort of specific client note here. If they came in that day and had some sort of complaint, we could add a note here. Or if they have some sort of special need that we need to be aware of, we can add that here. And this will be client specific. So we're on the client level at the moment. Up here, we also have a quick way to get into the add a task, but also a mailing label we can print from here. And then we see the patients that are tied to this client, any upcoming appointments that are tied to this client, all on this same page. So next we can go into a patient page. So here, similar, their basic information up at the top. And this will log their weight as it changes over time. We can see the history. This includes everything that was done, prescriptions, medical visits, etc. Getting a chronic condition diagnosed. And then here would be the more patient-specific things. So this is really where the vaccination records would be uploaded. We can always send the patient history directly from here. So if we want to send it to another clinic, we can just email it directly. So we can also see that patient's specific appointments, reminders for that patient, any forms that were directly from that patient, and we can print their vaccine records here with all the specific information for those. Tasks specific to the patient, not the client. And then again, invoice items for the patient. Along the side here, again, we can add notes. We can create an estimate for the patient. Tasks. The cage card would be printed from here. And also patient label if we need to stick that on any paperwork that we have. You can see their reminders. We'll now be able to track the chronic conditions of the patient. So when they're diagnosed with something like heart disease or diabetes, we'll be able to see their chronic conditions right here. Any medications that they are prescribed. So these would be active medications that they have refills available on. Okay, and that's all of the creating clients and patients as well as looking at the client and patient records.